you're in for a treat. I have known our next speaker for a short time, but I can say that he is really looking forward to work with our community. This is a refreshing aspect. So I really hope that you all will enjoy listening to Yaqub Prowell, Supervisory Special Agent with the FBI Portland Division. So if you please join me in just welcoming Yaqub to the stage here, okay?
Thank you. I'm sorry, guys. I can't stay still in one place. I have too much energy. Oh, that's okay. All right. Let's start with this, if we can. And I understand that we have different abilities in the room. So if you can't do this, it's okay. But let's just start off. Let's stand up. Let's stand up. If you can. If you can't do it, it's okay. But if you can, please stand. Okay, let's face the rear of the room. Okay, let's touch our noses with our left finger. Let's turn back around, face me. Sit back down, please. Congratulations, you've all just been socially engineered. I mean, really, I have nothing but over 100 highly intelligent cybersecurity professionals in the room, and you all just got socially engineered. Why is that? Exactly, exactly. Say that again, sir.
We trusted you.
You trusted me. Why did you trust me? You don't know who I am. How many of you have met me before? A few of you. Out of over 100 people, I count maybe 10 who have actually seen me before. Thanks. I do this to remind people, because a lot of people in the cybersecurity community get very frustrated with everybody who clicks on those links that they shouldn't be clicked on. Look how easy it is to socially engineer people when you have trust. Okay? Somebody told you an FBI agent is standing in front of you, and you said, okay, great. That FBI agent said, hey, stand up, face the room, touch your nose. Not one of you, not one, said, why? Why are you asking me to do that, sir? Who are you, right? So just keep that in mind. I'll come back to that theme, toward the end of the presentation. I don't have PowerPoint. I hate PowerPoint. I hate it with a passion. I like just talking to people, engaging with people. At some point during the presentation, I'll ask for questions, okay? This will work if you ask questions. Ask questions of me, ask questions of what you expect from the FBI. I'm not a very good public speaker, but I'm a pretty good conversationalist. That's why they hired me. So talk to me, okay? Thank you for having me here. It was great walking around campus for the half mile between the parking lot and... No, I wasn't even joking. I'm serious. I really... I'm not even trying to be funny. I was really enjoying the walk. I had my backpack on and I had my suit, and I was like, I probably look like a really old grad student or a professor maybe. It was like really nice. I was just like, yeah, I wish I went to a school that had a campus like this. See, I went to NYU. NYU, how many of you guys are familiar, how many guys and gals are familiar with NYU? So it doesn't really have a campus, it's just kind of like integrated with the city. And I'm gonna date myself here, but I don't care. I was a senior in 2001, and 2001, 2002, I was a class of '02, and I had Spanish class on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and it's actually a bit of an embarrassing thing because my mother's Puerto Rican, but I don't speak Spanish. Super embarrassing. Had to take Spanish so that I could pass, and get my degree. Tuesday morning, early Tuesdays and Thursday mornings, had to go down to a building that was on West 4th Street, right across from NYU's Bobst Library. And one Tuesday morning, I step outside, and how many of you have been to New York City? Excellent. So you all know how loud New York City is, okay? So I step outside on this particular Tuesday morning, and the city is dead quiet. And the only thing I can hear are car radios. And you just hear them kind of. So I step out my building, and I'm on West 4th, and I move, trying to remember my cardinal directions here. I move west, across the street, Here's Bope's Library. I'm walking down because there was a car just abandoned, like on the sidewalk. And the door's open, and the car radio is going. And as I get closer to the car, I hear President Bush's address. That particular Tuesday was September 11th, 2001. And President Bush says, we've just been attacked and 2 planes were just flown into the towers. I say, well, the towers are just 1.5 miles south and we have a perfectly clear view of them from Washington Square Park right across the street. So I cross the street, there's a crowd of people standing already. And I go to Washington Square Park and I look south down Thompson, which eventually turns into West Broadway, which is an almost perfectly straight line to the towers, okay? How many of you have been into New York before the towers fell? Okay, so you guys remember, it's about half of you remember that those towers were huge, like huge. Those were really large towers. I grew up in Brooklyn, over in Flatlands, where the Kings Plaza Mall is, which is about 10 miles away from those towers. You could still see them clearly. Okay, so 1.5 miles away is nothing. And yeah, I watched both those towers fall with my own eyes. I was in New York when that happened. Dealt with everything afterwards, right? That's why I joined the FBI, guys, because the fact that America has enemies that want to hurt us, want to hurt our way of life, want to attack our critical infrastructure, because that's what that was. We know now that there was a strategy behind that attack, and the strategy behind that attack was we're going to attack the economic critical infrastructure of the U.S. Yes, we're making a loud bang. Yes, we are making a lot of noise and drawing a lot of attention to us, but there's also going to be cascading effects on the U.S. economy as a result of attacking directly the financial capital of New York City, of America, and of the world. Sorry, guys, it's just got real serious real quick. But that's the world we live in. And that's why I joined the FBI, because that haunted me for years and years and years, watching those 2 towers fall with my own eyes. Here's the thing, guys. If this happens again, it's probably not going to look like 2 planes flying into buildings. I don't think I'm going to surprise anybody by saying if something like this happens again, it may or may not, we don't know for sure, okay? We only have our analysis and our imagination, but I don't think it would really surprise anybody if it involved a cyber attack. Does anybody disagree with that statement? Again, guys, don't just do things as I ask you to do them. If somebody disagrees, please tell me. You sure? Okay. So we all agree. What does that look like? I don't know. It could look like a variety of things. Maybe it looks like what just happened in Curry County a few months ago. Who knows what happened in Curry County a few months ago? That's only about half of you. Okay? So on April 26th of this year, just a few months ago, this just happened. FBI Portland Division held its first Cyber Summit hosted in its own office. Super cool. We had like 40 systemically important partners from manufacturing and education and defense industrial base. It's great. Everything's going wonderful. And we had Dr. Birol Yesilada as one of our keynote speakers. Is Dr. Yesilada in here by any chance? I'm sorry? Oh, no. Hope he's okay. Dr. Yesilada is one of my favorite people. Just brilliant human being. Love talking with him. Love picking his brain. And I love what he had said during his keynote speech. I loved what he said so much, I'm going to steal it. I steal it for all of my keynote speeches now. And what he said was, we have to do a better job of identifying and protecting the soft underbelly, the soft underbelly of American critical infrastructure. And by that, he meant those particular ground level entities, state level, local level, government entities that do not have a particularly mature, forward-leaning cybersecurity posture. For a variety of reasons. Lack of resources, lack of funds, sometimes, unfortunately, complacency. Okay? All of the above. And he said that, and literally like an hour after he said this, I get a call, I get notified, hey, Curry County is undergoing a ransomware attack. Turned out that the ransomware threat actor group was Royal. Who's familiar with Royal ransomware? Okay. Russian-based, we know this. I share this with you freely. Don't think I'm telling you anything you don't know there. I'm I deployed to Curry County approximately 2 weeks afterwards. I'm going to get into a little bit of what FBI does in situations like these in terms of threat response versus incident response, so I can kind of outline specifically where we fit in the cybersecurity ecosystem. But before I get to that, I want to explain what the effect was on your fellow American citizens. Okay? It was extremely damaging, guys, even just on a psychological level. Okay, these attacks are not virtual. Okay, they're real. They happen in the real world. They affect real things. They affect real people, and they hurt people. Even psychologically, that is hurt. That is pain. That is trauma. We have to respect and acknowledge that. While I was down there, one of the running jokes as they were moving through this crisis, and it's a morbid joke, I have to warn you in advance, but one of the running jokes of the people who were kind of dealing with this crisis was, hey, right now you're not allowed to die in the county. You're not allowed to die because we can't process the death certificate. Can't process land and title deed transfers, things like that. The entire county network was encrypted. This includes the DA's office, criminal records, computer-assisted dispatch, the foundation of their 911 infrastructure. All that encrypted. You starting to see what's happening here. Roads, bridges, infrastructure, building projects, encrypted. Maybe your response is, okay, well, you can redevelop the designs. Maybe, but it does take time, and they had a bit of a problem there because just a few months prior to the attack, one of their roads had collapsed into the ocean. Drastic cascading effects on community lifeline functions. We don't have to look any further than our own state to see how damaging a simple ransomware attack can be to an entire community of your fellow American citizens. Before I continue, does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns on anything I just said? Like I said, this will work better if you talk to me. So does anybody have any questions on what I said or anything they want to add? Please don't be shy. I won't make you stand up again, turn around, touch your nose, and then sit back down. Yes, sir.
You mentioned the need to protect that underbelly. What does that look like?
Say that again.
You mentioned the need to protect that underbelly. What does that look like from a policy perspective as well as a technical?
Wow, I didn't even plant that question. That was like a perfect question because it just leads right into what I want to discuss. Yeah. What does that look like? Protecting that infrastructure from a policy perspective. Before I get to the policy, let me get into what the FBI does. Is that okay? And because I ramble a bit and sometimes I lose my train of thought, so if I forget to get back to policy, just bring me back, okay? So what does the FBI do about this? Guys, the FBI is changing, okay? I'm going to say this very bluntly. The FBI is changing. Particularly in the cybersecurity space, we are very quickly realizing a very basic fact. We cannot do this alone. We can't do this alone. So the FBI is here to humbly ask you, please work with us, because we can't do this alone. We cannot behave like we're the 400-pound gorilla anymore. Hey, we're on the scene now. FBI is here. Just back off. We got this. No, that doesn't work. It doesn't really work in any threat. It most certainly does not work in cybersecurity. There's just too much to do. There's too much data. There's too much different levels of technical expertise going on. There's too much. We can't do it alone. We need you, okay? And yes, you need us. Why do you need us? Because we do come with a particular ability in that we can take positive law enforcement action against the threat actors. And that's what we do, and that's what we focus on, okay? So I want to talk a little bit about FBI's threat response versus incident response. Because a lot of people say, well, the FBI doesn't do anything. If the ransomware attack hits my company and all my servers are encrypted, you're not going to do anything for me. From your perspective, I understand why you would say that. This is why I'm here, to kind of explain exactly what we are doing, okay? So for example, we have a ransomware threat actor group out there. Let's talk about Hive, okay? Hive is out there. Hive is out there encrypting, attacking communities, just like what Royal did to Curry County. Okay, and yes, we don't do incident response. We're not going to go hands on your servers, help you wipe your servers, help you make sure that your servers are clean, put them back in the racks, and get you up and running again. We don't do that. There are liability issues with that. We can't do it. Okay, but what we are doing is using our legal process, using our authorities as defined by Title 18 of the U.S. Code and Title 50 of the U.S. Code. And I can get more in depth with that if you want me to, if anyone asks me later if I remember. But using our authorities as defined by the U.S. Code to specifically identify and attribute exactly who these people are, let's not forget, these are people doing this. Okay? And when we're talking about ransomware in specific, Chain Analysis did a little analysis a few years ago that specified that approximately 74% of the proceeds going to ransomware threat actor groups are going to, what do you think? Russia. Okay. Oh, cool. Most of you guys didn't know that, it looks like. I'm glad I had a stat you didn't know. Yeah, let me repeat it. 74% approximately of the proceeds going to ransomware threat actor groups are traveling, most of those proceeds are going to Russia. Okay? So guys, I don't have to give you classified information for you to read between the lines, okay? If 74% of ransomware proceeds are going to Russia, okay, we know who that's supporting. And we know what activities that is supporting, okay? Those are our enemies, okay? Putin has made it very clear that we are his enemy. It's just the way it is. Maybe that'll change at some point in the near future. I don't know. At one point, you know, somewhere around World War II, we in Russia, we were getting along for a little while there. We were cool, you know? Things changed. That's life. Right now, they're our enemies. They mean us harm. That's what's going on. Okay, so we are specifically identifying, attributing who these threat actors are. Okay, when we can take positive law enforcement action directly against them, we are doing that. When we can leverage other entities, for example, in the Department of Treasury, to take sanctions against them or their companies or their infrastructure that they're using to launder their funds, we do that. Okay, if I can put hands on somebody and put them in jail, I do that. In fact, I just did it last year with 2 of my agents who did the real work. I just kind of stood there and approved things because I'm a supervisor now. That's what I do. I just look important and sign and check boxes. But I went with them. I got to go with them. You know, they were working with Dutch law enforcement to keep in custody a Russian national named Denis Dubnikov. I'm going to spell it for you if you want to Google it. D-U-B-N-I-K-O-V. Denis Dubnikov. I'll spell it again. D as in Delta, U, B as in Bravo, N as in Nancy, I, K as in Kilo, O, V as in Victor, Dubnikov. Denis Dubnikov. Last year, we went to Amsterdam, got to see some really cool Van Gogh paintings, originals. It was awesome. Then put cuffs on Denis Dubnikov and brought him back to Portland for his role in laundering funds for, this guy's looking at me like, really? Yeah, we did. We do that. Put cuffs on him, brought him back to Portland for his role in laundering funds for the Ryuk ransomware threat actor group. In fact, if you look at the activity of Ryuk recently, you'll see that about a year or 2 ago, it drastically dropped. That was because of us. We can take credit for that. Thank you. Like I said, I just sign things and check boxes, and those case agents did all the work. I wish they were here to hear your applause. That actually does mean a lot. In fact, when I go back, I'm going to tell them, because they need to hear these things, that what they do is important, and people do appreciate it. Okay, so yeah, we did that. Anybody familiar with what the FBI did against the Hive ransomware group? Anybody familiar with that? Anybody? A few people? Okay. Most of you not, though. Like the vast majority of you not. Like 98% of you not. Google Hive ransomware takedown if you get a chance. You will find on YouTube a video from Director Ray, Director Chris Ray, the director of the FBI, where he discusses what we did for the Hive ransomware takedown. It was a case team out of Tampa division, and Chris Ray discusses very openly, which is great because now I can discuss it very openly. Chris Ray discusses how the case team gained access through legal process to a back-end server that the Hive ransomware group was using, and as a result, were able to put together a decryptor. So we had a decryptor for Hive for years, and I would go out doing these presentations, and I would say, hey guys, if you have a ransomware attack, Let the FBI know immediately. Please use IC3.gov. I repeat, IC3.gov, IndiaCharlie3.gov, for those of you who don't know. Report these things to us immediately, especially if you get a ransomware attack, because even though we don't do incident response, we do threat response, and part of that threat response is sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, we have a decryptor. And for years, people are asking me, well, how'd you get a decryptor? And what groups do you have a decryptor for? And I say, well, I can't talk about that. Sorry, we're the FBI. We don't share all that information. And then people get annoyed with me and say, see, you don't do anything. And now I can say, no, we do. We had a decryptor for Hive for years, and we have other decryptors too. I can't promise that with every variant, okay? But sometimes we do, and we're here to help immediately if we have that type of information or that type of access. So check out that video if you get a chance. Okay, because he talks about what that case team specifically did to cut off the infrastructure of the Hive ransomware threat group at the knees. Okay, but again, we cannot do this alone. Okay, we need you to talk to us. We need you to communicate us. We need you to share data with us, share TTPs, share IOCs with us. We're able to ingest all that information. Okay, we have 56 field divisions and several LEGATs worldwide that are all working cases. We've got a lot of classified holdings. Okay, if we take that data, it helps us garner a better understanding of what's going on, that we can better attribute who these people are and go after specifically them or the infrastructure that they're utilizing for their activity. Now, a lot of you are asking me, well, what do we get in return? So we give you data. We've heard this before. Are you giving us data back? Yes, we are. Okay, on an informal level, we are doing a much better job of being much more forward-leaning about sharing the information pertaining to what we're doing, just like I shared with you. And that's coming from the top down. That's coming all the way from Director Ray. That's why he made that video. That's why he made that public announcement. Okay, we're sharing the information with what we're doing. And if we recognize TTPs, IOCs, any other data that we can share with you to let you know, hey, look out for this. We're going to do that. Is anybody here for a company that is part of the defense industrial base? Good. Okay. Is anybody here from a company that is involved in ports and or transportation? Excellent. Anybody here involved in a company or affiliated with a company involved with power, electricity? Oh, yes. Excellent. Okay, guys. So I'm going to talk to you about our Griffin Citadel capabilities. It's got a super cool name. Griffin Citadel. It's actually not that complicated. Basically, we will passively monitor on one level if you're a part of any one of those sectors that I just mentioned, because we do have to prioritize. We can only use so much. But if you're part of one of those sectors and you want to share public-facing, critical IPs or domains, we can passively monitor the data going in and out of those IPs and domains. But what we're doing, again, is we have 56 field divisions with all these LEGAS over the world. We have a lot of classified holdings. We will take that data, crash it against all our holdings, and we will declassify quite a bit of information, quite a bit, to get it back to you and say, hey, this is Turla, Russian threat actor group, that's scanning your ports. Might want to be aware of that and possibly do something about it if you can. And we've been doing that on a daily basis with participants in this program. That's actually just the first level of granularity, and that's the one I tend to pitch pretty hard because it's, you know, it's passive monitoring, it's not particularly intrusive, okay? But at the same time, it's not as granular as we can get. We can also ingest your logs if you like, but that's if you like. I know people don't fully trust the FBI yet. It's okay, I understand. We gotta work toward that, we gotta build that, we're working on it. But if you trust us and you're willing to let us ingest your logs, we can get more granular feedback to you on any activity that we're seeing. Okay, we can also install appliances on your networks to get even more granular if you trust us, but you don't have to. We don't have to go that far. In fact, what I've been doing with a lot of companies is just starting with what we call TAL&I, that sort of high-level, non-granular, passive monitoring, and a lot of people, and there are some participants in this room, have been finding that incredibly, incredibly useful. Okay, I'm going to shut up now. I've been rambling for a while. Why don't I open this up to questions? Please ask questions. Yes, this will also help me prepare for my physical fitness test this year. Yes, sir.
What would you say to agencies, entities undergoing an incident whom are prohibited from reaching out to law enforcement by legal and insurance assets that have been assigned to their incident?
I would say I'm a little confused about the term prohibited. I understand when people are advised not to do so. It depends on the situation. If you truly are prohibited by law, although I don't know. We don't need to get into the weeds of what that situation will look like. What I would say is this. If there is resistance there, let's talk about that resistance. Reach out to me directly. Before I leave, I'll give you my phone number and I'll give you my email address, okay? You can reach out to me directly. Let's talk about it, because what I'm finding a lot of times is a lot of people have resistance to share because, for example, they think that, okay, there was some protection or some measure that I wasn't compliant on, and the FBI is going to find fault with me, and me and my company, we're going to get in trouble. No, we are not in the business of re-victimizing the victim, and we are not a regulatory agency, okay? I repeat, the FBI is not a regulatory agency. We are a criminal and national security law enforcement and intelligence agency, okay? So if you did something that's out of compliance, that's between you and the regulatory agencies. We're not getting involved in that. We're just going to take your data and do what we can to help you respond to the threat. We will share data with you. So, for example, in Curry County, I put them directly in touch with the case team out of another division that was working the Royal ransomware threat so that they could share recent intelligence on how that threat actor was moving and what they were doing to better help Curry County mitigate the incident, okay? So that's my response. My response is give me a call, talk to me about it, and let's see what we can figure out. We're here to help. If you deem that, we just can't help you, then that's okay too. We're not here to bash down your door. Like I said, we got to work together. Give me a call. Talk to me. Good question, though. Any other questions? Please ask. Yes, sir. I'm coming. Oh, only 1 more minute.
When it comes to the underbelly of the infrastructure, what risks, if any, have you identified?
All right. So, say it again.
In 1 minute.
In 1 minute. What risk have I identified? Oh, I could totally do that in 1 minute. Yep. And actually, I'm really glad you asked that question because it comes back to policy. People clicking on things. Got a few guys laughing over here. Yeah, people clicking on things. That's it. Okay? And if there is anything that I could do, I have had talks, and this is going to go to the policy thing, so I will wrap this up good. I have had talks with Sean McSpaden. I have had talks with the governor directly. I have had talks with Ben Garazgiher. I have had talks with Birol Yesalada. We have to do better as a state, okay, of identifying specific measures of effectiveness and measures of performance. We don't have that in place. We need to get together as a cybersecurity community and do that, all right? I'm glad a few people are nodding their heads because I'm hitting the right mark here. I'm glad people are hearing me on this. This is a call to action, okay? The FBI cannot do this alone. We have to do this as a community. We have to specifically identify how do we measure how many incidents are happening in Oregon. We don't have those measures in place. How do we measure what percentage of them are successful versus what percentage of them are unsuccessful? And how is that changing over time? Okay, because I can go talk till I'm blue in the face about the top threats to the soft underbelly of critical infrastructure. And the top threat, I would say, is guys, stop clicking on things. Train your people to stop clicking on things. If I could get most people to just stop clicking on things, my hypothesis, and I think this will bear out true, is that there would be a lot less critical incidents attacking that soft underbelly of critical infrastructure. We need those measures of effectiveness and performance in place, though, to determine if that actually is the case. And we have to do that together as a community.